Mark's hands trembled as he fumbled with his tie in the mirror. 20 minutes until he needed to leave for the wedding, and he still couldn't get the Windsor knot right. His daughter Lily would have fixed it in seconds, but she was away at college now. The house felt emptier than ever today. If you're feeling that tug at your heartstrings already, stick with me, this story takes turns you won't expect. Like and subscribe if you've ever felt alone in a crowded room or if you believe second chances come when we least expect them. The invitation had been sitting on Mark's refrigerator for months, held by a magnet shaped like a slice of pizza that Lily had made in elementary school. Together with their families, Jessica and Daniel request the pleasure of your company. Mark had read those words dozens of times, wondering if he should even go. Jessica was his cousin's daughter, practically a niece to him. He'd watched her grow up, had been there when she graduated high school, had helped her move into her first apartment. Of course he would attend her wedding. But the thought of going alone, of sitting at a table with other couples, of watching the first dance while remembering his own wedding day 17 years ago, it made his chest tighten. His wife, Elena, had been gone for 5 years now. Cancer. The word still felt like a stone in his throat whenever he thought it. 5 years, and he still reached for her in bed sometimes, still bought her favorite cereal at the grocery store out of habit, still couldn't bring himself to change her contact in his phone from My Elena Redheart to anything else. Mark gave up on the tie, yanking it off and tossing it onto the bed. He'd go open collar. It was an outdoor summer wedding anyway. As he slipped on his jacket, his phone buzzed with a text from Lily, "Good luck today, Dad. Send me pics. Love you Redheart." He smiled, typing back, "Will do. Miss you, kiddo." Mark grabbed his keys and the wedding gift, a handcrafted wooden box he'd made in his garage workshop with the couple's initials carved into the lid, and headed for the door. As he stepped outside, he noticed his neighbor, Diana, watering her roses. Diana had moved in next door about 8 months ago. They'd exchanged pleasantries over the fence, borrowed the occasional cup of sugar or lawn tool, but hadn't really connected beyond that. Mark knew she was a kindergarten teacher, that she had a cat named Professor, and that she made the best chocolate chip cookies he'd tasted since Elena's. "Off somewhere fancy?" Diana called, setting down her watering can. "My cousin's daughter's wedding," Mark replied, adjusting his jacket. "Ah, wedding season. Fun times." She smiled, but there was something knowing in her eyes. "Going solo?" Mark nodded, feeling that familiar discomfort. "Yeah, just me." Diana studied him for a moment, then glanced at her watch. "What time does it start?" 3 o'clock. "About a 40-minute drive from here." "Give me 10 minutes, she said suddenly. "What? 10 minutes? I have a dress that's been waiting for an occasion." She was already backing toward her door. "Unless you'd rather go alone?" Mark stood there, keys dangling from his fingers, mouth slightly open. Was she offering to go with him? A woman he barely knew? Look, weddings are tough to do solo. Trust me, I know." Diana's expression softened. "No pressure, but I make excellent small talk and I'm a decent dancer. Plus, I love cake." Something about her straightforward offer, without pity or awkwardness, made Mark smile. "You sure? It's kind of last minute." 9 minutes now, she said with a grin, disappearing into her house. Exactly 8 minutes later, Diana emerged in a flowing blue dress that caught the summer breeze. Her dark hair was pinned up in a simple but elegant style, and she carried a small clutch purse. "Wow," Mark said before he could stop himself. "You look amazing." "Thanks. Not bad for a speed change, right?" She locked her door and walked over to him. "Your tie's missing." "I couldn't get it right," he admitted. Diana reached into her purse and pulled out a slim blue tie that somehow complemented her dress. "My brother left this at my place last Christmas. May I?" Before Mark could answer, she was slipping the tie around his collar, her fingers working with practiced ease. She stood close enough that he could smell her perfume, something light and floral. "There," she said, stepping back to admire her work. "Perfect." As they drove to the wedding venue, Mark learned more about Diana in 40 minutes than he had in 8 months of being neighbors. She was 38, 7 years younger than him, had moved to their town after a breakup with her long-term boyfriend, loved teaching kindergarten but dreamed of writing children's books, and had once backpacked through Europe for 6 months. "What about you?" she asked. "Tell me something I wouldn't know from our fence conversations." Mark thought for a moment. "I play the guitar. Not well, but I'm learning. Lily, my daughter, gave me lessons for Christmas last year." "That's sweet. How old is Lily?" 19. Sophomore at State. "She's studying marine biology." Diana smiled. "You must be proud." "Every day," Mark said, feeling the familiar warmth that thoughts of his daughter always brought. "She's the best thing I've ever done." They arrived at the vineyard where the wedding was being held. Rows of white chairs faced an arch covered in flowers, with the rolling hills and grapevines creating a stunning backdrop. Mark spotted familiar faces, family members he hadn't seen in years, some of whom did a double take when they saw him with Diana. "Mark. So good to see you," his cousin Robert said, embracing him. "And who's this?" "This is Diana, my neighbor," Mark said, suddenly realizing how strange that sounded. Diana extended her hand smoothly. "Lovely to meet you. Mark's told me so much about Jessica. Congratulations on your daughter's big day." Robert beamed. "Thank you. We're thrilled. Come, let me show you to your seats." As they followed Robert, Diana whispered, "Sorry if this is awkward. I can play whatever role you want, friend, neighbor, date. How about lifesaver?" Mark whispered back, making her laugh. The ceremony was beautiful. Jessica looked radiant as she walked down the aisle, and Mark felt a lump in his throat thinking about how Elena would have loved to see this day. When the couple exchanged vows, he felt Diana's hand slip into his and squeeze gently. He squeezed back, grateful for the simple human connection. At the reception, they were seated at a table with Mark's second cousins and their spouses, people he saw maybe once every few years. Diana charmed them all, asking thoughtful questions and sharing just enough about herself to seem open without dominating the conversation. "How long have you two been together?" one of the cousins asked. Before Mark could stammer through an explanation, Diana smiled. "We're neighbors who discovered we're actually pretty good company for each other. Sometimes the best connections are right next door, waiting to be noticed." Her answer was perfect, honest but warm, leaving room for interpretation without putting any pressure on Mark. When the dancing started, Mark fully expected to sit it out as he always did at these events. But after the first few songs, Diana turned to him. "Would you dance with me? Just one song?" He hesitated. "I'm not very good." "Neither am I," she confessed. "But that's what makes it fun." The band was playing a slower song, something gentle with a simple rhythm. Diana led him to the edge of the dance floor, away from the center where the more confident dancers were showing off. "Just sway," she said, placing one hand on his shoulder and taking his hand with the other. "Like this." Mark felt stiff at first, hyper-aware of his movements, but gradually relaxed as they found a comfortable rhythm together. Diana was easy to dance with. She followed his lead when he felt confident enough to try a simple turn, and subtly guided him when he faltered. "See? Not so terrible," she said, smiling up at him. "Thanks to you," he replied. As they danced, Mark noticed Jessica watching them from across the room, a pleased expression on her face. When the song ended, she made her way over. "Uncle Mark. You came." She hugged him tightly. "And you're dancing. Wouldn't have missed it for the world, Jess. You look beautiful." He presented her to Diana. "This is my neighbor, Diana." "Your neighbor, huh?" Jessica said with a knowing smile. "Well, Diana, thank you for getting my uncle on the dance floor. That's something I've never seen before." "The pleasure was mine," Diana said. "Congratulations on your marriage. Everything is lovely." Jessica beamed. "Thank you. Now, don't let me interrupt. The night is young." As she moved on to greet other guests, Mark felt a strange mixture of emotions, embarrassment at Jessica's assumption, but also something else, something lighter that he hadn't felt in a long time. "Sorry about that," he said to Diana. "Don't be. It's sweet that she cares about you." Diana's eyes crinkled when she smiled. "Want to get some air?" They walked out onto the vineyard's terrace, where string lights twinkled overhead and the evening air carried the scent of roses and distant rain. A few other guests mingled around, but it was quieter here, the music from inside creating a gentle backdrop. "Thank you for coming with me today," Mark said, leaning against the stone balustrade. "I don't think I realized how much I was dreading coming alone until you offered to join me." Diana stood beside him, looking out at the darkening vineyard. "I'm glad I could help. I've been the solo person at enough weddings to know how it feels. Can I ask you something?" Mark turned to face her. "Why did you offer to come? We barely knew each other." Diana considered this for a moment. "Honestly? I saw something in your eyes when you mentioned going to the wedding alone. Something I recognized." She paused. "Loneliness isn't just about being physically alone. Sometimes it's about feeling like no one sees you anymore." Her words hit Mark with unexpected force. That was exactly it, the feeling that had been growing inside him since Elena died, and even more since Lily left for college. Not just being alone, but feeling invisible. "After my boyfriend and I split up," Diana continued, "I went to my cousin's wedding by myself. I smiled through the ceremony, made small talk at dinner, and then during the first dance, I just broke. Went to the bathroom and cried for 20 minutes. She gave a small laugh. Not my finest moment." "I'm sorry," Mark said softly. "Don't be. It was actually a turning point for me. I realized I'd been so focused on what I'd lost that I couldn't see what might still be ahead." She turned to look at him directly. "When I saw you today, something just clicked. I thought, maybe I can make this a little easier for him. And selfishly, maybe easier for me too. Weddings are more fun with a friend." Friend. The word felt good. Mark hadn't made a new friend in years, had barely maintained his old friendships after Elena died. Everything had been about survival, about being there for Lily, about getting through each day. "Well, you definitely succeeded," he said. "This has been nice. Really nice." The band inside started playing a livelier song, and cheers erupted as guests filled the dance floor. "Sounds like the party's picking up," Diana said. "Should we go back in?" Mark hesitated, then offered his hand. "Actually, would you dance with me again? I think I'm getting the hang of it." Diana's smile lit up her whole face. "I'd love to." They returned to the reception just as the band transitioned to an upbeat classic that had everyone singing along. Mark surprised himself by actually enjoying the dancing, letting go of his self-consciousness and just moving to the music. Diana was laughing, her hair coming slightly undone from its pins, her eyes bright with joy. Several songs later, breathless and happy, they took a break for cake and coffee. Mark caught Jessica watching them again, giving him a thumbs up when their eyes met. He felt a blush creep up his neck but found he didn't mind. As the evening wound down, the bride and groom prepared to leave. Guests lined up outside with sparklers to send them off. Mark and Diana stood side by side, the golden light illuminating their faces as Jessica and Daniel ran through the tunnel of sparks to their waiting car. "Make a wish," Diana said softly as the couple drove away. Mark closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, Diana was looking at him curiously. "Did you wish for something?" she asked. "I did," he said. "But I can't tell you or it won't come true." The drive home was comfortable, filled with easy conversation about the wedding, shared observations about the guests, and laughter over the best man's awkward toast. When they pulled into their neighborhood, Mark felt a twinge of disappointment that the evening was ending. He parked in his driveway and walked Diana to her door, carrying her shoes which she'd removed for the drive home. "Thank you again," he said, handing her the heels. "Today was unexpected." "In the best way." Diana smiled up at him. "I had a wonderful time, Mark." "Truly." They stood there for a moment, the porch light casting a warm glow around them. Mark felt a flutter of nervousness, like a teenager at the end of a first date. "Would you like to have dinner sometime?" he asked before he could overthink it. "Not as a thank you or anything. Just dinner." Diana's smile widened. "I'd like that very much." "Great," Mark said, feeling a rush of something that took him a moment to identify: hope. "How about Friday?" "Friday is perfect." As Mark walked back to his own house, he felt lighter than he had in years. He took out his phone and sent a text to Lily with a picture of him and Diana that one of the cousins had taken during the reception. Lily responded almost immediately, "OMG Dad. Who is she? You look so happy. Tell me everything." Mark laughed, typing back, "Her name is Diana. She's our neighbor. And you're right, I am happy." He paused at his front door and looked back at Diana's house, where the lights were now on inside. Sometimes the most unexpected days turned out to be the most important ones. Today, he'd gone to a wedding dreading every minute, and instead found himself opening a door he thought had closed forever. Mark went inside and carefully hung up the blue tie Diana had given him. He'd return it to her on Friday. Or maybe not. Maybe it was the start of something new, something he hadn't been looking for but had found anyway. As he got ready for bed, he remembered the wish he'd made during the sparkler send-off. It wasn't complicated or profound. He'd simply wished for more days like today, days where he felt seen again. 3 months later, Mark and Diana attended another wedding together. This time, when someone asked how they knew each other, Mark took Diana's hand and said, "She's my neighbor who became something more." During the reception, as they swayed together on the dance floor, Diana looked up at him with a mischievous smile. "Remember when I first offered to come with you to Jessica's wedding?" Mark nodded. "How could I forget? You gave me 10 minutes to decide." "Well, there's something I never told you about that day," Diana said. "When I saw you walking to your car in that suit, looking so handsome but so alone, I almost didn't say anything. But then I thought to myself, Diana, if you don't take this chance, you'll regret it." "So what made you speak up?" Mark asked. Diana's eyes sparkled. "I literally told myself, look at me, Diana. Look at me standing here letting another opportunity pass by. And then I called out to you instead." Mark pulled her closer. "I'm very glad you did." "Me too," she whispered against his shoulder. "Me too." When Mark sent Lily a picture from this wedding, her response made him laugh out loud. "Dad and Diana, 2 weddings, 0, you guys are undefeated." Red heart. Sometimes the most beautiful beginnings come disguised as endings. Sometimes the person who will change everything has been right next door all along, just waiting for the moment when you both finally look up and truly see each other. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us second chances are always possible, and that love often finds us when we least expect it, sometimes right next door.